My name is Olivia Myers, and today we're going to be working with data analysis and probability, Module 6. And today our work is going to be aimed at grades 4th through 6th grade. We're going to be working with using bar graphs and box and whisker plots. And so let's talk about what we're doing today. This kind of thing, this data analysis, is everywhere. We see it all the time. We see it in books we read, in magazines, advertisements. Advertisers really like to use data analysis. On TV, it's all around us. And so it's really important, even from a very young age, like kindergarten, pre-K, to get kids started being familiar with what graphs are and how to read them. Obviously, they're not, the graphs you learn in kindergarten won't be as complex as the ones you learn in 9th or 10th grade, but irregardless, data analysis is everywhere, and it's very common. And we're going to actually be looking at a real-world example. We're going to be looking at concession stand prices at a movie theater. And we're going to, like I said before, we're going to be making a box and whisker plot and a bar graph of the prices. So for the box and whisker plot, we will just be using the prices to create that. And then for the bar graph, we're going to be go ahead and plotting how much. We're going to try to find what the most expensive item is. So, we're going to go ahead and start with the looking at the prices. So, for concessions, let's go ahead and review this together. For our concessions, we have a small popcorn for $5, a medium popcorn for $6, a large popcorn for $6.50, a small drink for $4, a medium drink for $5, a large drink for $5.75, candy is $5, a hot dog is $4, and nachos is $7. So, we're going to go ahead and start with the box and whisker plot. Box and whisker plot, some of your students are most likely have never heard about it before. And so we're going to go ahead, and the first thing you do when you're creating your box and whisker plot is you need to put your numbers in order from least to greatest. So instead of crossing out your numbers, because we are using them again, once you've written one down, we'll just go ahead and put a little dot next to it. So we'll go ahead and put them in order now. And I see that 4 is my smallest number. And I'm going down to check to make sure there isn't another 4, and there is. I'm actually going to write it up here. Okay, and so our next logical number would be 450 or 475, and I don't see any of those, so we'll go to 5. So we have a 5. And another 5. And now we'll look and see if we have any 550s. No 550s, and then we'll look for a 575. We do have one $5.75. Oh, and I slipped. It pays to double check because I missed a 5. So we have 3 5s and a $5.75. So we'll go through, and now we'll look for 6, and we have 1 6, a 650, and our last number is a 7. So we went ahead and we put our prices in order like so. The next step for making the box and whisker plot is to go ahead and identify the median. So, like we did with the dots before, we'll go ahead and do the dots under, and you just have your students go back and forth until we get one in the middle. And of course, there might be more than one, depending if it's an odd or even number. You have to be careful when there's decimals involved, or you'll do what I just did and count it several times. And so our median number is 5. This is going to be our Q2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find the median on the left side and the right side. So go ahead, and this is why I prefer to use dry erase markers, because you can just have students so you can just have them erase the bottom, and we can go ahead and do the dots again. I'm going to start with the right side. And so now we have 2 numbers in the middle, like so. So we're going to go ahead and add these together and divide by 2. So, and then we'll do 12.5 divided by 2. And that will give us, 1 second, I'll double check my math. Okay, so 6.25. And so 6.25 is going to be our Q3 because it's on our right side. And I kind of did that one kind of wonky, but I prefer to do the right side first because you would read right, and that's just naturally how my brain goes. But for some students, you might want to start with Q1, so on the left side. So we're going to do the same thing we did over here and find the median number. So like I said, if you use dry erase markers, it's easy to just go ahead and, you can erase so much easier. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing, add these together, and then divide by 2. Q1 equals 4.5. So now we have our Q1, our Q2, and our Q3. So what you would have your students do now for box and whisker plot is go ahead and draw a line. And have them go ahead, and you're making a number line, so go ahead and draw the numbers. Since 7 is our biggest number, I'm going to go ahead and draw 10 lines. This isn't evenly spaced. It's going to drive me nuts. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So for box and whisker plot, you're going to go ahead and find your Q1 and your Q3, and you're going to make little marks for them. So let me give you an example I'm talking about. So for Q1 is 4.5. So I'm going to go here, and right here in the middle, I'm going to put a little dot here. And then for Q3 is 6.25, so I'm going to go ahead, and that's not quite halfway, so do a little dot here. And just kind of, draw a little box from these places. Okay, so that's our box. So we look here for our Q1, and we'll put our first side of our box on that side, and our Q3, our Q3, we'll go ahead and put it over here. So we have the 4.5 and the 6.25. And then we're going to draw a line in the middle of our box where our median is. And it might not actually be the middle of our box, but it represents the median of our numbers. So our median is a 5, so we'll go ahead and draw a little line right there. So there's our box, and now you're wondering, where's our whiskers? On this side, you're going to draw your whisker out to your smallest number and your biggest number. So we'll draw it out to our 4 right here, and we draw it out here to our 7. So this is a box and whisker plot, and you can do double box and whisker plots, things like that. It's just one way to do data analysis and represent data. The second thing we're actually going to look at now is our bar graph, and we're going to create a bar graph with the idea of finding the most expensive item from the concession stand. So we'll go ahead and erase our box and whisker plot and get started with that. So we're using the same data, we're just analyzing it and inputting it in different ways. So we're going to go ahead, and you would have your students draw the X and Y axis. And go ahead and have them along the X-axis list the type of products they have. So, for example, small popcorn, medium popcorn, large popcorn. Small drink, medium drink, large drink, and then candy, scenario, hot dog, and we're just going to put an N for nachos. So a lot of concessions along our x-axis, and we'll go ahead and it's important to label graphs. You want to teach your student this often and early on to label each side and title their graph, because if they don't learn it now, they'll never do it. So we have here our concession stand graph, and then we're going to go ahead and list prices. And since we don't have that much of a variety of prices, I'm going to go ahead and just list out 1 through 10. And just like I labeled this one, I'm going to go ahead and label this, and I'm going to title it Prices. And before I even go anywhere else, I'm going to title my graph Concession Stand. Now, since we are working with prices and decimals, it's important to have to really emphasize to your students to be as accurate as possible in graphing, because $5.50 is greater than $5.75, and if we're not careful to represent it correctly, then if we were to actually use their graphs, we would be getting the wrong data. So just want to emphasize to be as precise as possible when you're working. So we'll go ahead and start, and for our small popcorn is $5, so we'll go ahead and draw our bar up to the number 5. And our medium popcorn is $6, so we'll go ahead and draw it up to the 6. Our large popcorn is $6.50, so this is what I was saying, to be as accurate as you possibly can. And so when students are first learning, I would recommend using graph paper, because that will really help them to be as accurate as possible. Our small drink is $4. Our medium drink is $5. Our large drink is $5.75. So just a little under the 6 line. Candy is $4. A hot dog is, candy is $5. The hot dog is $4. I apologize. It's thinking cheap candy for the movies, right? And then our nachos are $7. So this is what it looks like graphed out, and it's pretty close. The prices are pretty similar, but if we're looking for the product that costs the most money from the concession stand, it would obviously be the nachos, because we can see, because we graphed correctly, that bar is taller, and it is directly correlates with the 7. So these are just a couple ways you can go ahead and do data analysis and really kind of using real world situations and applying it with graphs and different data styles.